Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Lion Pause, Pause. As everybody here at Lion Fight and our fans around the world, we hope everybody is doing well. I think most places where everybody is at, we're starting to turn the corner a little bit on this pandemic. And I know from all of us at Lion Fight, we hope you're doing well. And we're expecting, hopefully in the next few weeks, to have some news on some rescheduled fights and some updates on where we're going to be for the rest of 2020. And on that note, we are very excited to welcome in three guests. Four, if you count Justin Kwan, who is our expert website guy who is in New York City. I am in Las Vegas. Joining us from Austin, Texas is Chris Tramell. We are very excited to have Chris joining us. We have been long awaiting his debut in the Lion Fight ring, and we'll get to why it has taken an extra long period of time. Chris, thanks for jumping in on this call today.
Yes, sir.
And we are delighted to have two world champions with us, both from Thailand, or they are in Thailand. Lisa Brierley, who is the world flyweight champion. She is in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. It's about 9 in the morning there. So have a cup of tea and welcome to the chat.
Thanks for having me. I've already got coffee.
All right, excellent. And also in Thailand, from Phuket, it is a guy who has rapidly become one of our most popular fan favorite fighters, the Crazy Viking, Magnus Andersson. How are you today, Magnus?
I am actually pretty good. It's a little bit now with no training. It's a little bit changed my routine a little bit, but yeah, I'm getting a little bit back now. So, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I must say, for 9 o'clock in the morning, you look very, very sharp. You've got the do done, and you're ready to go.
Dapper.
So I wanted to start off with one of the fun questions we've been asking. We have some serious questions, and we have a handful of kind of fun questions. So we'll start off with one of our fun ones. You guys have all fought in various places around the world and have long careers ahead of you of where you might like to fight. So let's start with Lisa and ask her where your favorite fight has taken place in the past and a dream location for you to fight. Where is one city or one venue where you've always wanted to fight?
Oh, that's difficult. I think my favorite place was when I fought on Lion Fight in the French Alps.
Okay.
That was like, it wasn't just like the venue, but obviously like the scenery and where it was placed was just amazing. So that has to be my favorite place, not just because I won, but actually because of the place. And where I would like to fight. Do you know, I've never actually fought back home. Like recently, I fought, one of my first fights was in England, but that must have been maybe 8 years ago. So it would be nice to fight in front of my family again, I would think.
Okay.
Actually back home, which is a little bit boring, I know.
No, but maybe someplace really cool like O2 Arena or something, yeah, okay. Or Buckingham Palace right out front.
Yeah, hopefully Lizzie would come watch out the window.
Yeah. Magnus, for you, you won your title at home in Sweden. So you had that. You earned the title fight by fighting in Las Vegas. So would either one of those have been your favorite, and where might you like to fight down the road?
I say the one in Las Vegas was very big. It was a big thing. Go like flying 30 hours, come there by myself, check out Las Vegas, had a great fight, and yeah, it was in general all a good experience. But the fight when I won the title back in my city, almost, it was like that was very cool. I had like 30 very close friends and family, and everyone was there sharing my name. And I think that was the best moment so far.
Okay. And where might you want to fight? Where would be like a dream location for you to fight?
That's a good question. Like at the moment, I actually want to fight for like in the stadium here in Bangkok.
Okay.
For like a full Lumpini. At the moment, this is going in my head. I think that would be very, very authentic,
Okay, awesome. And Chris, we know you fought many places in the US. You fought extensively in Thailand when you lived there. How about a past favorite and a future dream spot?
Yeah, I got to fight all through Southeast Asia and China, and that was fun and everything. But I haven't got to see a lot of Europe. So probably when I fought for the WAKO USA team in Dublin, Ireland, was probably one of my favorite fight trips, because I got to walk around and look at St. Patrick's Cathedral, all the the older stuff there, the kind of history that we don't really have in the U.S. But I really enjoy. So that was a really good trip. Yeah.
And a future spot that you might want to go to?
Japan, easy,
Really?
hands down.
Okay.
I was always a big fan of Pride and just a completely different culture and the way they watch and appreciate fights. I mean, that's the land of the samurai. If there was any place I'd like to fight that I haven't got to, it would be Japan, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Let's go with one other kind of fun question before we get into everything else. We'll start with Chris on this one. As you know, you get to pick your walkout song wherever you may be fighting, but we're going to put a little twist on it with this one. You get to pick a band or a singer to do your walkout song live, or you can have someone dead or alive in your entourage on the way to the ring. So what kind of scenario do you see there?
Oh, I could go with either one of them, but I would love to have Mike Tyson in my entourage. He's my hero. I've never got to meet Mike. So if I could have somebody walk out with me, it'd be Mike Tyson. If it was a band, I think I would have Rage Against the Machine play for me.
So maybe we get Mike to walk you out with a tiger in lion fight, or something
yes.
like that.
Can we do that? Can we do that, Scott, please?
Magnus, let's go to you with that question. You have an opportunity to have maybe like a favorite band or a celebrity or somebody famous, dead or alive, who would be in your walkout entourage.
I think it would be cool to have Eminem coming out with me rap. I think that would be, yes.
And would he be doing the famous song from 8 Mile, or was something else in mind?
It's depend on the mood, Okay. But yeah, maybe.
Okay.
That would be cool.
Lisa, your turn.
I'm going to sound really old now, but I think I'd have Bon Jovi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not expect that.
I know. I didn't really expect it, but it's the first one came into my head. And I just really like the song It's My Life.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would go with that.
I would have guessed maybe more like Oasis, or something like that. But that's, just me, being silly.
Yeah, no, I'll go with Bon Jovi.
Okay, excellent. Good stuff. So let's get into some of the other questions we want to talk about. And the reason we wanted you three together is obviously you have such an extensive background in Thailand. And Magnus, will start with you. For Muay Thai fans who are in the United States or somewhere else in the world, not Thailand, can you explain to people why it is so beneficial and just what life is like to be a Muay Thai foreigner training in Thailand?
I would say it's like you just leave everything you was thinking about before, and you're just doing this like full-time work. It's like you don't have any thoughts about what I'm gonna do between the sessions. It's like, and it's like the culture and the way they teach. But sometimes like I can disagree in some things. Like there's not a lot of drilling here. It's more like repeating until you get it.
Okay.
Which is good. So I think it's like a good combination. You have both.
Okay.
But otherwise, Thailand have created some of the best fighters in the world. Like the most technical fighters, and this is just what I am here for, learning. Getting my skills to trying to be on that level.
Okay. Lisa, maybe can you expand upon that, particularly from the immersion in the culture and the lifestyle there? Because, obviously Magnus has friends at home, but he isn't. But you've moved to Thailand, essentially.
Yeah, I haven't been home that much. The only times I've really been home was to have the surgery on my knee. I think like it is a bit of a culture shock when you get here, but the longer you stay, the more you understand it and you adapt that to your own culture, if that makes sense. With the training, I agree with Magnus, it is a lot of repetition. But the reason I think why I did stay here for so long when I was training is because I was taught when to use a certain technique and why to use it. I think like back home when I trained, I would hit the pads and I'd be quite like mindless. I would be like punching the pad, kicking the bag, but I wouldn't think about when I should be using it or why I should use it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But with the culture as well, with the training, it's very much like you don't question anything. Everything is discipline. Whereas back home, we'd be like, oh, why would you use that? Oh, I don't really agree with that. You just don't do that here. And especially if you do question someone on it, they're probably going to tend not to take care of you that much after. Not take care of you, but you will find the more you question someone and who's been training for a very long time, the more that they're going to take a sort of dislike into them, because that is part of the culture. You don't question your teachers.
We often see you with very young students, I guess you would say, in the gym. Is that part of the culture too, where you as an established fighter are responsible, or maybe at least take an interest in bringing up the young kids to follow in the footsteps and for the future of the sport?
Obviously, because I'm sponsored at Santai, you sort of have a responsibility to help anybody that comes into the gym, whether they're Thai or foreign or what age. You need to be able to approach them, help them with any questions. But I think personally for me, when I was brought up, my mum, she's a foster carer, so we had a lot of young children in the house, and I'm really close with my nieces and nephews. So I think because I'm here for a long time and I do miss my family, when I see the kids, I sort of like, I think it's part of my personality to just go and play with them and try and help them, which probably comes across a little bit weird when I say that out loud. But
I think because people see it so often. And honestly, for myself, I see it quite often with the female fighters, yourself, Alexis Asher, Sandra Godvic, fighters like that, whether they're from Europe or America, almost in a way adopt these young fighters and really try and help them. I think, not only learn to fight, but just learn to be young people.
Yeah, I think like the motherly instincts definitely sort of takes over. I mean, we love fighting and we know the kids fight very young here, but I think because we're brought up home to be very motherly, and here as well, that just kind of comes out in people's personalities, I think.
Okay. Chris, you obviously moved from the US to Thailand and spent a long time in Thailand. Advantages and disadvantages being an American who moves to Thailand exclusively to train Muay Thai?
Depending on your situation, advantages are just endless. I mean, from all the things that these two already mentioned to something I like to bring up a lot is you could train at a really big name gym here in the United States, but that doesn't mean the coaches are going to hold pads for you, hold mitts for you, and in Thai culture, the way it's taught one-on-one, teacher to student, you're getting pad work every day one-on-one with the trainers. And that's a different kind of training than what's done in the West, usually where you're in a class format and you're working and drilling with a partner. Like Magnus said, there's more drilling maybe, but you don't get a lot of the one-on-one pad work. So that's like a really big advantage to being over there. Definitely is that. Disadvantage, just the basic stuff, like keeping up with visas and the expenses of being a foreigner over there. If you're fighting frequently, you're making good money, you have sponsors, it's not that hard. I know in recent years, I don't know how it is over there since the COVID stuff, but I know it started to get a little tougher on foreigners to stay there and extend visas, but most people that are over there, they can get an education visa or a work permit or they're fighting full time. They have that all figured out. And that's about the only real disadvantage. It's all advantage as far as I'm concerned. And I'm jealous of both you guys for still being there.
So Chris, on that note, how, I know over time, obviously things would change for you, but how did you adapt initially to something as basic as food? As Americans are very straightforward in what they like for food. How did you adjust to a big food change there?
Some people are adventurous eaters. I'm not. I know some of the foreigners go to Thailand and they want to try all the weird stuff, and I don't even like basic seafood, so I'm not adventurous at all. But I had a Thai girlfriend for a number of years and experienced a lot of her culture through her. And so she was a really good cook, and that tended to get me to try more things probably than I wouldn't have, or that I would have on my own, because she would basically shame me into trying it. So I got a lot of exposure through that. But otherwise, man, Thai food's great. So there's not a huge adjustment. I think most people love Thai food.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Magnus, when you moved from Sweden to Thailand for training, you've been back and forth numerous times for fights, and you've come to the States to fight and things like that. What is the situation like there for you right now in terms of being able to train? I believe you said that your gyms are just starting to open up. How soon do you think you could be ready to go, and after all this pandemic situation is leveled off at least?
Oof. At the moment, like it's been a really hard time now, you know, both mentally. It's like it's almost like where I have been. It's been like a lockdown on 3 kilometers. You can't go out, you know, and it's just and no training, and I'm just I'm just in the apartment with my girlfriend, you know. So
Okay.
we like sometimes we fight, and it's been a really tough couple of months now. But what I have done, I just start training with few of my teammates here. Just holding pads for each other, do some sparring, and that make me feel better, you know. But it's a very like at the moment they say they're gonna start up the fights here in Thailand like 15 June, but you never know, you know. So, but anyway. Yeah, what did you say?
Oh, I was just I guess the good part for you was you were one of our last active fighters. You got to fight on the last show, so I mean, you had that advantage.
Yeah, I was very happy with that. I fought in Ireland also, so I got some good money. Like I got money enough to survive for a while, you know. But
yeah.
Many of my teammates, they barely have any money at all now, you know.
Okay.
So it's like it's very you see the Thai people, they standing in big lines to just get a little bit food of the day. So it's like it's very sad moment. Maybe like I talk with my parents, they don't really understand how I'm feeling. You're seeing people almost dying. Not of the COVID, but they're dying because of the lockdown, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough times. It's tough times.
Lisa, very similar situation in your part of Thailand as well. Is that roughly the same as what you're seeing?
Yeah, so different provinces throughout Thailand have different sets of rules. Right now, we're on lockdown as well, but we don't have like a set parameter like Magnus. We have a curfew from 10 till 4 that we can't go out, and we always have to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. If you don't wear a mask, the fine's up to 20,000 baht if you get caught without a mask. That's number one. And a lot of places here, before you're allowed to enter, we're checking your temperature. Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with Magnus, because obviously I don't know if you guys have seen like the rates for the actual people with virus in Thailand is not actually that high, okay. But the effect of not being able to work and obviously fight and things like that, I think it's taken a toll more on anything, especially because back home, especially in England, I know most people are getting 80% of their wage covered from the government who have been affected, that their work have been affected. Whereas okay. In Thailand, the government, you can apply for, I think it's 5,000 baht if your work has been affected by the virus, but not everybody gets that. Okay. So you apply for it, but that doesn't mean everybody gets it. So it's sad, like sometimes when the government did give out handout of 5,000 baht to Thai people, when I was going down the high street, I saw like so many Thai people queuing up outside the bank, and some people wasn't even getting it. And as well, people that do have insurance here, that were paying for insurance for maybe something like this where their work was affected, haven't even been paid up by the insurance companies, but then can't apply for the Thai government to help them because they have insurance. Right. So I definitely agree with Magnus. It's more, you see more people struggling, and not because of the virus itself here, but because of everything that's come with it.
Okay. And Chris, you're in Texas, which is one of the rapidly opening states, really. I think everything is going to be a little bit, it's bigger in Texas, and it seems to be opening quicker in Texas. Is that an advantage for you? Obviously, your fight in May was postponed, but is that going to be maybe an advantage for you, is that you could get back in the gym maybe within a week or two and be very quick to be ready once we get started again?
Yeah, I'm at least for the current situation, I'm glad to be in Texas where they're opening back up, because obviously the situations between the United States and Thailand are very different. But even with our situation here, I've been against the shutdown. I feel like that's been doing more damage than the virus, but that's an argument all into itself. And I'm glad to be in a state that's going to open up a little bit quicker, because I have confidence in things being okay. And this Monday we'll be able to get back in the gym. We're gonna have to practice some kind of social distancing or changing rules. I don't know how it's gonna work, but this Monday we should be allowed to get back in there and start training. So yeah, I should be able to get back into a routine.
So Chris, let's stay with you for a minute. For those of you that have been following Lion Fight for the past number of years, Chris was scheduled to make his much anticipated debut in Lion Fight way back in Lion Fight 50 in Los Angeles, which was our first event on CBS Sports Network. Unfortunately, there was a medical situation that was just bizarre, really, that kept you off that show, and now you were kept off the May show here because of the show being shut down with COVID. So this has just been I think one of the craziest journeys of any fighter of all time, because as I think many people know, you're very lucky to be with us even to this day, because of a very serious motorcycle accident in Thailand years ago. Could you talk briefly about that and what it's eventually going to mean to you to get that shot in Lion Fight?
Yeah, I had a number of years back, I had just signed a contract with another one of the world's leading kickboxing promotions. We won't say their name, but I had just signed a contract with them and fought, and was in Thailand preparing for another fight on that contract in Amsterdam when I had a bad motorbike wreck. I hit a steel pole doing about 50, 60 kilometers an hour, and ruptured my spleen, shattered my kidney, broke a part of my spine, broke 6 ribs, punctured my lung. I died on the scene, and again later in the hospital, had to endure 16 weeks of surgeries in Thailand. Lost something like 70 pounds, went back and went through a year or two recovery. Basically, I was never supposed to be able to do a sit-up again, lift weights, anything like that. Definitely not fight. Like the expectations I was given by the doctors were like super grim. So I basically ran away to Thailand again to try to find myself, not thinking I would end up back in fighting, but maybe just trying to find myself on a spiritual level, because it was a bad time after the accident. But started training at Phuket Top Team and training with some real world killers, like Pascal Schroth was there during the time, who was a German world champion. I was sparring with a lot of these guys, and all of a sudden realized one day, like, oh man, I think I can do this again. I'm holding my own, I'm getting hit, I'm giving it back, feels like old times, So that's kind of when I decided, yeah, man, why not? This means a ton to me, because I did not want to end my fight career on that note, on a motorcycle. Yeah. Like, what a terrible way to go out, I wanted to at least end it on my own terms. And with this upcoming fight, as a title shot, no less, it's perfect fairy tale, cap to put on the story. So it means a lot to me.
And how crazy is that? And obviously, like you and I spoke about all off air, so to speak, the story of your recovery is beyond dramatic. You have been quite open talking about some substance problems that you had afterwards, some depression, obviously very, just an overwhelming period of time for you. And then the opportunity to fight at Lion Fight 50, and you're not allowed to fight because of a piece of BB in your cheekbone from when you were like 8 or 10 years old or something. Like,
teenager,
yeah. Just, I don't know how you do it, but and now you are, a step away from fighting Joey George for the North American Cruiserweight title. So, it's a really great story for you to see. It's a comeback of all comebacks in a lot of ways.
Oh man, with all the details, especially, I hope to get a book written about it. I want to make some
You're
money.
At least a Lifetime movie, right?
I need a movie or a book, something.
So who would play you in the movie?
Tom Hardy, not because I'm handsome.
Ah, okay. All right.
I just think he's tough.
That's going to be, I'm going to add that to our list of questions for our fun questions that we do. Who would play you in a movie? You know, whatever the story might be. So Lisa, you have a comeback story, or you're in the midst of a comeback story. You won the Lion Fight Flyweight World title at Lion Fight 44 in Semon, France, as you mentioned, in the French Alps. Took a title fight on 5 days notice because your opponent's original opponent backed out of the fight. You stepped up 5 days notice. It was made a title fight. You won convincingly, and then have had to have your knee worked on pretty extensively in that. Take us back to winning the title first, and then how soon we might be able to see you defend that belt.
Oh, okay. So like you said, I took the fight on 5 days notice. And it was funny because I fought on the Saturday in the French Alps, but not many people know I actually fought the week before in Thailand on the Sunday. So I fought on the Sunday, and then on the Monday I'd fought quite a lot. So on the Monday, my Thai trainer, he said to me to do this. I don't know how you say it in Thai, but the drink that makes you go to the toilet. Maybe I don't know the name. Oh, what's it called? Yeah, Magnus. Or Chris, you know the name?
Ratapon?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So in Thailand, after you fight, you do this drink and you go to the toilet a lot.
Oh yeah.
So it cleans your they say like it cleans and helps your heels. Yeah, exactly. And so during that time when I was stuck in my room, I got the call and said like, do I want to fight? I said, yeah, I'm completely up for it. And then it got confirmed on the Tuesday.
Okay.
I flew out on the Wednesday by myself. And then, flew out on the Wednesday, arrived on the Thursday. I think I cut 1 kilo on the Friday. And then my managers, Nick and Oud, both turned up, weighed in, and I fought on the Sunday. Obviously, because of visa issues and it being so last minute, my trainer couldn't come. So I did it all by myself. And then I fought, and I was really surprised actually, because obviously in Thailand we fight 5 rounds of 2 minutes. But when on the Saturday, changed to 4 rounds of 3 minutes, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, I fought last week, I've just done that bloody drink, like how am I going to survive this? But obviously it turns out I won, which I was really happy about. And then I flew back, and then obviously I got I got offered to fight again for the WPMF world title, but it was a little bit heavier at 51 kilo. I don't actually ever cut much weight for my fights anyway. I only really cut 1 kilo. I walk quite light to my fighting weight. And then I fought for the world title and WPMF world title, sorry. And the first round, I missed the kick and tore my ACL. Obviously, at the time, I didn't realize it was my ACL. And I tried to hide it as the fight went out, but obviously my leg just kept giving out on me. Every time like I went to walk, I would just fall down, literally. And so then my opponent started low kicking me, but I ended up lasting the 5 rounds. I lost by, I think it was 49-48, and I got confirmed I'd completely torn my ACL. I had a bucket handle tear in my meniscus cartilage, and I'd slightly tore the MCL as well. And I lost a big side bet of 50,000 baht. So just to put that cherry on top.
So how has your recovery been, and are you ready to go? Do you need more time yet, or is a title defense really next on your schedule?
So the recovery went really well. Obviously, like you had like a lot. I think I agree. Like when you are in recovery and you can't do what you want, a lot of depression does come with it. Before I was walking like 52 kilos, and after the surgery, most people put on weight, but I actually lost weight and went down to about 48 kilos. So during recovery, I wasn't just trying to like mend my knee. I was trying to get my muscle mass back up and try and get to that weight. And then since then, so during recovery, I've had 2 fights since I've been back, but I fought in January, and then I also took, I don't know why I do this to myself, I took another fight on 5 days notice back in February. I really don't know why I do it all the time. I lost, unfortunately, but it was good to get back in the ring. I think the loss really like showed how much work I still had to do. But I think with me, it's more about getting my confidence back up rather than actually like physical training, if that makes sense. It's really about getting my confidence. I think right now, because I have been out for so long, and I've always had a habit of just taking fights last minute, I think if I did get an opportunity to fight, whether that was a title or not, I think I would just take it. Obviously not, please don't offer me a fight on 5 days notice.
No. We're trying to plan in advance around here. So.
Yeah. But I think just with like, you never know when you're going to get an injury. You never know, like when obviously we might have a pandemic and you can't fight and train. So I very much got like the attitude of, I don't know if I can swear, but like, oh, F it, let's go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Now you have obviously a very good team around you, great manager, great coaches and things like that. Is there a big advantage to having another world champion as one of your training partners? I don't know if everybody knows, but Manasak, who is the Lion Fight World Bantamweight champion, is one of your training partners. And the two of you are often in videos together, showing techniques and training. How vital is that? How important is that for you to have somebody of that caliber to train with?
Oh, it's really important. Like, not many people know. Well, I was actually originally Orthodox. And then when Manasak started training me, he was just a bit like, wow, she's terrible. I can't change her. What am I going to do? So let's just start over again. And took me to Southpaw like him. And he really built me up from like scratch, like basic upwards. And during that time, he made me understand everything that and why I was doing things, something I mentioned earlier, which really helped. And it also helps that he's quite small. Obviously, I'm about 50 kilos, he's 57. So I often find that when I do have fights, my sparring partner and my clinching partner is him.
Okay.
So it's definitely a massive advantage for me.
And I'm gonna ask you about a future fight. I'm gonna come back to you, and I'm gonna talk to you about a future fight. I'm gonna go to Magnus now, and Magnus, take us back to a couple of fights. Initially, you came to Las Vegas. You made your Lion Fight debut in Las Vegas and had a tremendous performance. I think that was when people really took notice of the Crazy Viking, when you came to Las Vegas and beat Washington Luis, who was undefeated at that time. Take us back to that night in Las Vegas and just what it was like to go in there and put on such a dominant performance.
What can I say? It was just it was the first time I ever been in the States, so I was just very happy to fight in Las Vegas. I didn't know super much about my opponent, just like he was undefeated, and I said like, yeah, why not? I don't question so much who I'm fighting, but yeah, the whole feeling around it, I came to America 1 week ahead. Then spend some time there, look around, do all these medicals. That's very important there. And then my team, the owner of the gym, he came like 2 days before the fight, I think, and spent some time with him and get prepared good mentally, and then it was showtime, and I just went in there and tried to figure out my opponent and see what he liked, and it worked. Just when big pressure, and eventually too many knees to the body and game over.
So as good as that performance was, would you rate your next performance even better? And that was the fight in Gothenburg, Sweden, when you won the world championship in your home country. Was that performance, the title fight itself, was that an even better performance?
It was I think because Washington had a very awkward style. He was not really like I used to, for you fighting someone just standing there in front of you. With Washington, he running around a lot,
Okay.
And it was difficult for me to catch him. But in the title fight was more like, because I'm fighting a Thai, and it was more like a fight And there I also was very close because I get dropped and then I drop him, and then the next round goes on in the third, and then I finish that fight off also. So
Right.
I think it was a good fight for the audience, you know, because everyone was like crazy, you know. Even my corner, everyone was like, "Wow, so stressed," and that was it was a fun experience because I have a lot of fun when I fight, you know.
So
I was at that fight. It was awesome, by the way.
That's right. You were cornering one of your students at one of your training partners at that fight. It was an amazing performance for sure.
Fight.
I'm going to talk to then all three of you now about upcoming fights. Let's start with Chris. As we talked about a little bit, you've got a scheduled fight with Joey George for the Lion Fight North American Cruiserweight title. What appeals to me about that fight is that both of you, I would say, are very similar in one way, in that you both come straight forward and somebody is going to get hurt. You know, it's one of those fights. I mean, it could be almost like last man standing, because there's going to be some punishment dished out. When that fight is rescheduled, is that the kind of fight that interests you? Because I remember talking to you initially about that fight and you were very excited about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, you just described it. I mean, everybody loves to win, you know, love to be the champ, love to, you know, get that W in the column, but I really like to put on exciting fights. I like to go out there and entertain and really put on a show. My last 7 fights in a row were all fight of the night. So like on, you know, the winning or losing end, I always try to put on the best show of the night. And the dude looks like he'll stand and brawl with me, and so I expect somebody to go down. It's not going to be me, but you know.
And then, I mean, from there, Chris, I mean, let's, you know, foreshadow things a little bit. Let's say you do win that fight. Is that the start of a resurgence to your career, would you say? Or would it be slightly towards maybe the end of your career? Where would you be, so to speak, in your career with a win after that fight?
I'm not really ruling anything out. Like, you know, you and I talked about, you know, getting the additional, you know, bouts added on the contract to defend the title or rematch or whatever. And like I said, I'm not ruling anything out. So depending on how the experience goes, I wouldn't be doing this unless I plan to win. Like, I expect to win. So, you know, I go out there and get that W and kind of see how things are and what offer comes next. But as of right now, I feel like I got a couple of years left in me still. I think I don't feel too bad at all, actually, you know, despite all the accident and everything else. I feel like I could definitely put a couple of years of work back in. So, yeah, just leaving the door open.
Lisa, you know, obviously you've got a title defense coming up, but there potentially might be something really interesting in the works. I wanted to ask you about it, maybe get your thoughts on it. We had Amy Pierney on one of our other Lion Fight Zoom chats, our Lion Pause chats. You know, she is the super flyweight champion. You are the flyweight champion. Does a clash between the two of you, is that something that could be in the works down the road?
What I've seen from Amy is Amy will fight anyone, and like she will fight anywhere, everyone, and I really respect that about Amy. So I always think, like, in the future, if say that was up on the cards, if my gym was happy and she was happy with the arrangements, I definitely think that would be a good fight. I mean, for me, like, Amy is up here, and because I've had like a long time out, I don't always expect just to come back in and be able to go with these sort of girls, not just in like physical aspects and fighting, but also like in different promotions or and line fight. I don't just expect to be like, okay, I'm back, you put me up here. So I understand, for me, I have to work back up through different levels to get to her. But in the future, if that was on the cards and she was happy and my gym was happy, I don't see why not. The only thing I don't think, like, I know Amy fought a little bit heavier than me, but I don't think she's much bigger than me. I mean, I walk 50 kilos. I don't know what Amy walks, but if long as both gyms were happy, I don't see why not. It's just, for me, I just feel like Amy's up here and I'm a little bit low, and I need to catch up for us to fight, if that makes sense.
I think another appealing aspect of it is you're from England, she's from Scotland.
Yeah, exactly.
That would make for a pretty exciting fight, be it in London or Glasgow or who knows where.
Yeah, definitely. And especially because, like I said before, I haven't really fought that much back home. So
Yeah.
for such a big fight like that, because Amy is like one of like the best female fighters right now, that would just be like, be able to fight her in front of like my family and her family. I think that would be a good experience for both of us.
Very cool. Magnus, obviously your last time out, you had an opportunity to win a second world championship when you took on Sudsakorn. You moved up a weight class and came up a little bit short, but it was another tremendous fight for you. What would be your desired next fight? Is there any one in particular? Would it be a defense of your championship that you have? Would it be an opportunity to win another second title? Where do you see yourself in your next fight inside the Lion Fight ring?
I would say I will go back to my normal weight, because when I fought Tsutsakon, I could feel I didn't cut any weight at all for that fight. You know, I just took it because fighting a legend in the sport for another world title is not every day you get that chance. That was a good challenge, and it proved where I will have to go next. You know, but in my head, I would like to prove that I am the 154 kilo champion. You know, and defend that belt.
Okay.
This is what I want.
Okay. All right. I wanted to wrap up with you, with all three of you, with a couple more fun questions. We talked about food earlier, which is one of my favorite subjects. So let's talk about food again. This would be, I'm going to ask you what your favorite post weigh-in meal is. So now that weigh-in's done, what are you going to go and grab to eat? And what is your favorite meal after the fight? So let's start with Magnus. So your favorite after weigh-in fight and your favorite after fight meal.
Okay, so after the weigh-in, before when I start fighting, I eat a lot of shit, you know, like but then eventually I realized this is not so smart, because I need good fight, you know. So then I start I try to eat the normal food I ate before in the fight camp, you know, like rice, chicken, maybe a lot of vegetables like broccoli and so on, you know. But after the fight is a different story. Nah, but all kind of, I like pizza a lot and Mexican food. I like all kind of food. So the week after, I eat a lot of.
Well, I'm sure you found someplace good to eat after, especially after the win in Vegas, right?
I eat Mexican food almost every day. I was like, Mexican every day.
Chris, for you, so after the weigh-in and then after the fight, what are you eating / drinking?
After the weigh-in, since the fight hasn't happened yet, I always just try to think in terms of the efficiency of what I'm eating for fuel. So after the weigh-in, I'm just trying to put a bunch of complex carbs in, a bunch of rice, potatoes, like whole wheat pasta, things like that, and just really carb up for the next day. And along with my usual protocol of supplements and hydration and everything you do when you cut weight. After the fight, though, a big ass steak. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sure
I wouldn't do it before because it takes too long to digest. You know,
Yeah.
Sits on your stomach all night, so I wouldn't do it before the fight. But after all that depletion, some good red meat, just a big ass steak.
I'm sure in Texas that's not a problem to round that up, right?
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Lisa, for you, after the weigh-in, what are you eating? And after the fight, what are you eating?
So before, I was the same. I think I would just eat a lot of shit because I could, but I did notice that the heavier I got when I was fighting, I found I was slower and I was really bloated compared to when I was in training. I could really see the negative effect, which I found in recently my last fight. So now I just try to eat what I would normally do on training days, which is just sticky rice, chicken or pork and egg, nothing really too fancy. I do like a bubble tea though quite a lot
Okay.
each day.
Yeah.
So I probably have one of those. And then after the fight, I'm so boring. I don't really change. But if I do, I'd probably go for a burger or a steak as well. But I think that's more because I can't really get that in Sankapang and Chiang Mai. I can, but I'd have to really go out the way to get it. So I think I kind of just treat myself because I fought, not because I'm really craving the food.
Okay, and to go with that, are you going to stick with the very clean water, or are you going to perhaps grab a beer or maybe a champagne after a title fight, or?
I'd probably have a beer, but I always find even if I have one glass, I actually get a hangover because I don't drink too much. So like, if I do, it'd probably be a beer with a lot of ice just to water it down a little bit.
Magnus, beer or champagne after a title fight?
Oof. It looks more fancy with champagne, but I like more to be honest.
Actually, Magnus, could you just repeat that answer for us? You just cut out a little bit there.
Well, I say maybe champagne is better option, but I like beer more,
Okay.
So 50-50 situation.
And Chris, I think looking at you, I think the instant answer would be beer, but I have a sneaking suspicion there might be like a scotch in there for you.
You nailed that. I was just about to say, I know Magnus likes his beer because I had a beer with him after he fought in Gothenburg. But some whiskey, man. I'm Texan whiskey.
And I also wanted to ask you guys, and maybe it's, I shouldn't assume it's different in Thailand, but at least over here in North America with everything that's going on with the pandemic, everybody is sort of making a lot of social media posts about what they're binge watching or what they're going back as one of their favorite movies or TV shows or something like that they're watching. Lisa, let's start with you. Is there a favorite show that you might be binge watching right now, or a favorite movie or show that you would recommend right now for people that are bored at home?
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch too much. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but Santa doing online training. So I have been sort of like the go-to with like the translator. So I've been sitting in a lot of that. But I have recently, just yesterday actually, started watching The Last Kingdom on Netflix. It's about Vikings actually. So I've been watching, I think it is anyway. Oh my god, that'd be really embarrassing if it's wrong, but yeah, I've started watching that yesterday. Okay,
Magnus, to you, anything that you're binge watching or recommendations right now?
Maybe the Vikings. No,
yeah.
That's a good one, but at the moment I'm watching Outlander. It's very it's like
right.
Yeah, good, nice.
Chris, let's go to you. Did I lose everybody, Justin?
No, I think we're still good. Yeah. Oh, he's frozen.
Hang on, everybody. If you can still hear me, hang on.
No problem. I'll stop it.
Hello, it's on.
We'll give him a second. Give him a second. Also, when he's finished, don't leave quite yet, too. Yeah, just FYI.
We've lost Scott.
Scott. Give him a little bit. I was wondering though, Lisa, Magnus, do you guys feel Thai at all?
If I
like you feel like you're representing Thailand at all?
not really.
Isn't that weird? Like people go to Brazil and they feel they're like Brazilian, and then they go to Thailand and they train in Thailand for years and they're like, meh.
Do you know what? When I'm here, I don't feel it, but when I go home, I feel it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not the same. Like, and I can definitely see that my family are looking at me like, what? Where's Lisa? Like, why? Not why is she acting like it, but I definitely have. I think I definitely have changed and really. I survive, I guess. But when I'm here, everyone stares at me, so I never feel like I'm a Thai. Like, there's the white chick.
Hey, everybody, sorry about that. We don't have the greatest internet here, so apologize for that. I think we are to Chris with recommendations or what you're binge watching right now. If you say Tiger King, that's going to be incredibly obvious.
I was just about to say, besides Tiger King, right? I watch a lot of documentaries. So I've been watching the show Infographics that tells like crazy stories where the story's animated and whatnot. And aside from that, just like rehashing some 90s movies. I watched all the Predator movies and Lethal Weapon movies. Just a bunch of ridiculous stuff.
So just so you guys know, this is what we're up to in Vegas. We ended up adopting 2 new puppies, and this one is a little bit, well, she just doesn't want to leave me alone. So sorry about that. But hey, so all of you, thank you very much. I know you, Lisa and Magnus, thanks for, I don't know if I got you up early, but I know it's a hassle to do one of these things right at first thing in the morning. So I really appreciate that. Magnus, we're looking forward to seeing you defend your 154 title as soon as possible. Lisa, it has been way too long. We need to get you back in there and get that flyweight title. And Chris, again, as we talked about, it's been just way too long period for you to see you in action. You deserve, you're such a good guy. We love having you as part of the roster, and we are looking forward to finally seeing you in action. So to the 3 of you, thank you very much. And again, we hope to see you in action very soon, and we'll talk more then.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.